Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. The best chart analyst that I follow believes that this sideways price action is going to end. That's right, the chop will end. Now, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for price to go lower first. In fact, at the time I'm recording this, we're in a little bit of some downward price action. By the time we're watching this, who knows, maybe it's rebounded or maybe it actually did go lower. I mean, like for instance, chart analyst Credible Crypto, he actually thinks we are going lower before we ultimately rebound to the upside, hit a new all-time high, and then ultimately peak in that $20 to $30 range. So it's certainly possible. But I'll just tell you this, most analysts that I follow don't think we're going to have to go down first. And so and we'll talk about what that specifically means as we get into the video, but even if we're technically a little bit down, we're still within a specific range. So we could be quote-unquote down, but what I'm noting is that we're within, right now, a very specific range, and we cannot and will not stay here forever. That's a key takeaway. And so it toys with people's emotions when you're a little bit up, you're a little bit down. And if you're new to crypto and you don't understand that, when it comes to charting, you actually do get range bound, it can shake you out. But this is very normal. Crypto is doing what 16 years worth of data should prove to you, it should be happening right now. It's doing exactly what it should be. It's not the case that because you buy crypto, now the negative volatility stops. No, it tests you emotionally, but mostly it's just sideways price action. If anything, I think more than anything, probably people are getting bored. I don't think there's as many scared people out there at this particular moment, but that can change. If it starts to move to the downside before we finally get a major burst to the upside, okay. But either way, a key takeaway, I think, is, like in terms of probability here, I don't think this time is different. I don't think it's remotely probable that we're going to see the conclusion, the peak of this cycle, or maybe it's already behind us. I don't believe that's the case, and we're just not going to see people display the regular greed that you do see, meaning Bitcoin peaks, dominance falls, and then they rotate, the people that sell Bitcoin, they'll rotate into other coins. I don't believe this will be the first time in history where we don't see that rotation. That does not compute. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, it is 2:56 a.m. Central Time. It is now Friday, March 28th, 2025. XRP is $2.22. Bitcoin's at 85,216 bucks. Here you can see the 24-hour chart for XRP. Here it is for Bitcoin. Strikingly similar. Market's just going down in tandem, but it's range bound still. So it's not like something disastrous is necessarily happening right this second. And as I was citing towards the intro of this video, the best is yet ahead, including for this cycle. That's my belief. That's my bet. Because there's no proof out there that's persuading me that actual regular human behaviors are going to change, because you'd have to prove to me there's something changing there for me to believe that the top is already in. And I won't say it's literally impossible for that to be the case, but I don't find that to be probable. And the reason I say that even is because sometimes in life the improbable happens. Sometimes you actually do get a first. I'm just not counting on it. I just don't think that's probable. Neither does chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto. He simply wrote, the cycle top isn't in. The euphoria phase brings about the signs, but not yet in that phase now. Folks, that is such a key takeaway. You don't need to be a chart analyst to understand that very simple concept. People will behave in a certain way. They have demonstrated that they want to. They every single peak, every other cycle it's ever existed, they're not going to now. People aren't going to sell and then engage in a little bit more risk to try and get some money out of altcoins, to get some profit out of altcoins. Come on. Why would the humans, give me the argument. What's the argument? Why would the humans not behave like that anymore? They just collectively on a global scale like, I'm risk averse now. So they're sufficiently okay with getting in the riskiest, most volatile asset class on the planet, jumping into crypto, but then suddenly they want to shut off the valve and be like, I no longer have risk tolerance. I've changed this. Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't compute. Here's another one from Mikey Bull Crypto. It's a Bitcoin USD chart. He says, Bitcoin falling wedge has a price target of $112,000. So he is expecting, as most analysts that I follow are, pretty much all of them, we're going to see another burst to the upside. And he's not saying the peak would necessarily be here, but he is saying we're going to see that. So then if that happens, given that XRP is absolutely going to continue to outperform Bitcoin, what do you think that means for the price of XRP? while ultimately a new all-time high and finally price discovery. And that's the part that I'm really most excited about. That's what I've really been waiting for all these years. True price discovery. Very exciting to see that XRP did hit a new all-time high. So we've already been vindicated. I feel vindicated. That's for damn sure. But the most exciting, fun part, it is going to be that price discovery. And that is ahead. And it's gonna be so fun, like, because you won't know for sure. It'll be exciting. You won't know for sure where the top's gonna be, and all sorts of people have all sorts of different opinions about that. It'll be fun to talk about. But that's the moment. It hasn't happened yet, and I refuse to believe that what is most likely is that XRP just ranged for 7 years, artificially suppressed. Now the market's making up for that, but it just barely tapped the all-time high, and that's it. And now we got to wait till the next market cycle to see price discovery. Get the hell out of here. I mean, if that happens, fine. I do not believe that. That just doesn't compute to me. I don't find that to be remotely probable. The best is yet ahead. And then we also have this. This is the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10 coins by market cap. So XRP is not in this one, but still interesting to look at this because the asset class does move in tandem. Here, Mike Gible Crypto wrote, altcoin market cap is getting set for a rebound, #alt season. And so he's noting that it's bouncing off of this trend line that's been in place for years now. So just because we got to this lower end where it's bouncing off it, which sure as hell scared the living daylights out of all sorts of people, that doesn't mean it's over. Markets test people, folks. Here's a post from chart analyst Mustache. Crypto total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, on your screen here. And he said, #altcoins, total 3, that's the name of this chart, of course. Total 3 is on the track of previous cycles. Nothing is different. It just takes a little longer. The biggest wave is yet to come. The market rewards those who are patient enough. And so you can see the phases that we've gone through over the last couple of years to get to where we are now. He's noting that it looks strikingly similar to what we've seen in the past. You got the same types of things, slightly different durations. Structurally, he's arguing very similar. And so when he says the market rewards those who are patient enough, yes. And I've been saying that the whole time I've been running this channel. Either you have exposure during the big exciting days when the market blasts to the upside, or you don't. And so I've just made sure that I have exposure because I don't know for sure when stuff's going to happen. I don't know to what degree. I don't know which coins for sure are going to hit a new all-time high. But it doesn't matter. You just have exposure. You diversify. You don't hold just one coin. You don't be a maximalist, even if you're like me and XRP is your favorite coin. And I'm sure that's true for many of you listening. That's fine. But you don't be a maximalist. You hold tons of different coins. Have exposure to the asset class because you can't know for sure what's going to happen. And then when it does move to the upside, then you do indeed get rewarded. It's not rocket science here, folks. I am up so dramatically compared to when I jumped in late 2017, and there is nothing special about me. That's the cool thing. That's one of the most, I hope you would agree, most powerful messages about my channel is I'm just a dude with a stupid-ass name, Moon Lambo, and I'm winning, okay? You can too. It's a very real thing. But you just have to do some very simple and basic things. Some of it sounds harder than you think, like which is just literally doing nothing. Because people, when they get nervous about their portfolios, they like to tinker with stuff, and then they'll think that they can sell if something's going down because it's going to go even lower, but then they'll buy in cheaper, and then so on and so forth. Which is also a bad idea if you're in the United States for tax implications if you're going to be selling within the next year anyway. But that's a whole different conversation. But the people that win are the ones who have brought exposure and then do nothing. Here's a post from the blockchain backer sharing his most recent video. I hope a bunch of you caught this one. It was a good video. This is from yesterday. Strength indicators build as XRP price chart and Bitcoin range develop, XRP bull run setups. And so he is steadfast in his belief that by a lot, what is most probable is ultimately another burst to the upside for Bitcoin and XRP, both of them. And, you know, one of the things that he cited was his range, and for those of you that were around, you'll remember this. I mean, I'll never forget. It did go on forever, seemingly. I mean, it felt like that to people. In 2020, it would have been, I don't know precisely, it was August, probably August, September, October is probably, that's about right. You can go back on a chart and look, but the price of XRP was moving sideways, like it seemed like for months. And so it was like in the low to mid 20-something cent region forever. And then there were some people that were freaking out. It's going to go even lower. It's going to 15 cents or whatever. Although had that happened, I absolutely would have bought more. But it didn't. It just ranged sideways and it beat people up and emotionally, and people got tired of it. And then out of nowhere, it was the beginning of November of 2020, good 4.5 years ago, and then it blasted up in the span of a couple weeks or so. I'm pulling from memory here, but I think this is about right. It went from about that to about 80 cents, maybe a little higher than 80 cents. That's what XRP did. So it's the same type of thing. Like you may feel like it's just not going. Hopefully you feel a little bit better this time since we've already hit a new all-time high. So maybe this is a little bit easier than that chop in 2020. But the point is, back then, and I was saying the same thing, we cannot and will not stay in that range forever. That's not how markets work. You don't stay there forever. So then is your bet that the market gets bigger if enough time passes and number go up? Or is it just all over and it's going to trend towards zero? What do you think? Well, I say number go up. Absolutely, because crypto is functionally useful, and it's very obvious that humans that learn about it, they value the attributes that cryptocurrencies offer. This is not rocket science. It really is. Like, this part of it is not. And so, hearing him talk about that, I was like, yep, that brings me back, hearing about that 2020. But that's kind of, it's conceptually similar, right? So yeah, we're ranging sideways. There's some chop right now, but it's not going to stay like this. New all-time high coming, price discovery. That's what's ahead. And the blockchain backer is very firm in his belief that we're talking about XRP peaking the cycle at $8, $9, $10, somewhere around that range. So who knows? Maybe we'll look back and see that was conservative. I think that he'd be happy about that. Or maybe it's the nail on the head. Either way, so many of you have been around for so many years. If we actually do get up to that range, anywhere close to $10, that's going to be life-changing for so many people. So eye on the prize here. Don't get beaten up too much emotionally by this chop. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Tony. Shared this with his 514,000 followers. XRP USD update. Sideways, then up. Plan remains. And so there's nothing new to report on this, but he keeps sharing this update just to kind of, I think it's basically just to share his conviction. Like, his conviction isn't shaken just because we're chopping sideways. It is still going to go to the upside. And he has also, by the way, predicted that XRP is going to peak in double digit price, so minimum of $10 this market cycle. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. It says, if XRP can break above $3, it would invalidate the current head and shoulders pattern, potentially flipping the outlook bullish. Okay, and so he had been talking a little bit, and I've not seen this from too many analysts, but I've been talking about potential downward price action, and there are some that think that. For instance, Credible Crypto thinks that, although more on that again a little bit later in the video. Most analysts that I'm following aren't warning about particularly notable downward price action, but even the ones who aren't saying that would be the end of the world, or that it would, that the bull market's over for XRP. I will also note, and I think the blockchain backer was talking about this too, like he's talking about how head and shoulders patterns, like one of the first patterns that you learn when you start charting. And so it's easy to think that you're seeing that in so many different things, but then a lot of the times it actually just doesn't play out. So if he's right, credit where it's due. We'll see if you think that's happening, but he's certainly acknowledging that this can break and he just moved to the upside anyway. So I just thought I'd mention it. And I'm not afraid to share the negative sounding opinions on my channel. I just think that we should be aware of potential outcomes. And that way, if they happen, even if it's a scary one, maybe you'd be a little bit less likely to sabotage yourself by emotionally, selling or buying, whatever the situation may be. Here's a post from chart analyst Greg Crypto. He clearly does not buy into the head and shoulders argument here. He wrote, in fact, it's the opposite. XRP price chart here. He says, XRP most probably inverse head and shoulder. So that would be an indication, if that's true, of a move to the upside rather than downside. And, this is over, I guess, a little bit of a different time frame, or because so chart analyst Ali Martinez looked like this is going in from last year. And then I guess he's going back towards, it's kind of a similar time period. He's not seeing the same thing in the chart. So we'll see. And also, is it going to keep playing out further? So we'll find. Anyway, the point is, he said the measured move is to $3.70 to $3.90. And of course, he does think we ultimately peak much higher than that. He's just talking about what he's seen in the chart at this particular moment. There's a separate post here highlighting that, what he's calling the supernova moment would be XRP going from anywhere $13 to $27. And there's a longer post from November he linked to, which I believe I highlighted at the time. And for the purposes of time in this video, I'm not going to run through it. But his conviction remains the same. That's the point. The other day he posted this yet again. The answer is double-digit price action. Here's a post from chart analyst Dark Defender, XRP USD. He says, hi all, XRP formed a great bullish rectangle pattern. This consolidation will be over very soon. The next leg will welcome new all-time highs. And so that is the message that I keep seeing from the vast majority of chart analysts that I follow that track XRP. It's just a question of time. Here's a post from chart analyst Steph is Crypto. XRP is looking giga bullish. Something big is coming. And so he's noting that XRP is within a particular triangle here, getting towards the apex. He's got this little magnet icon indicating he's going to pull it up towards double-digit price action there, $10, and he's been very steadfast about that. And mind you, all of these analysts accurately called that XRP would hit a new all-time high this cycle, so happy to continue listening to them. They get credit where it's due, even though they don't all agree as far as, you know, where XRP is going to peak this cycle. You know, thoughtful minds can have civil discourse on that matter. Here's somebody named Food for Dog asked chart analyst Dom, how likely do you think it is we get that $1.60 dip Credible Crypto is talking about? And of course, he's talking about XRP here. And chart analyst Dom responded and said about the same likeliness that Bitcoin goes sub $75,000 and equities make new lows. Okay, and I can understand why he's saying that. Markets tend to move in tandem. And if Bitcoin actually does, of course, I would think it would be reasonable to suppose XRP could follow. Now, Credible Crypto is not promising we're going to go that low, but he has been talking about that in recent days. I'm not seeing that from a whole lot of chart analysts that I follow, but you know, Credible Crypto, he's one of the best out there, in my estimation. And he's just warning there's a chance that could happen, but even that to him would not be scary. He would view that as an opportunity because he insists that we're going to see double-digit price action for XRP, ultimately peaking somewhere between $20 to $30 this market cycle. I hope he is indeed correct. That's going to be just buck wild and so life-changing for so many people, if indeed that happens here. So Dom isn't concerned with that. So, okay, so where does he think we're likely to be sitting here? Well, he shared this post. He said, XRP update, price continues to bounce between major VWAPs. As stated yesterday, anything between $2.20 and $2.50 is pure noise and a chop. And folks, that's enough though. Like imagine you're at the upper end of that range, you're at $2.50, and now we're at the lower end, closer to $2.20. That does scare people, but it's normal. That's a normal range, and this is not weird. That's kind of the concept I was alluding to towards the beginning part of this video. This is normal. It's just chop, but it still scares people. But anyway, so then he says, price is still at mid-range, which means expecting a certain direction is a pure prediction until either bound is broken. Upper bound is $2.50, lower bound $2.20. Until then, save yourself and be patient. So he's not promising what's going to happen here, but there's no reason to be fearful at this particular moment in time. So we'll see what happens. XRP, as I record this, $2.23. I firmly believe the best is yet ahead. And even if, for the first time in history, we didn't have a euphoric blow-off top and we didn't see Bitcoin dominance crater to the downside, which, again, I do not believe is I don't think it's reasonably probable. But even if that happened, it's the first time, I'd be surprised. I'd talk about it on the channel. And you know what I'd say then? Be like, okay, well, that sucks. Now we just have to wait longer, so we still get to own the same amount of crypto that we hold. Crypto pie is going to get bigger as more time passes, so even if we have to wait for another cycle, if that's the worst-case scenario, okay. I am more patient than everyone else on the planet. That's my mission, and that's how you win. So even if that happened, I'd just be like, well, okay, I'm just going to hold my crypto then and just wait. I'm going to beat everybody else by doing nothing. So either way, you can still win. Like, that's why I'm saying that's a key message here. Whatever you want to do, even if the doomsayers are correct, and for the first time it's different, this time actually is different. We cratered to the downside, and that was it. We can still win. Like, we can still win by waiting, by doing nothing. XRP is functionally useful. It's not like the humans are just going to throw the technology to the wayside when obviously humans genuinely value it. It's just that even though there's technology that's valuable, humans still are going to be humans and speculate and over leverage and so on and so. There's all sorts of human behaviors that are associated with this market activity. But on the whole, way more humans will adopt crypto as time passes. That's how the life-changing wealth ends up becoming a real thing for people. It's just you hold and you wait. So if that's the worst case scenario, then I'll hang out with you another however many years we have to until we get there. In fact, I'd be inclined to buy more because I'm going to keep earning new money in the meantime. So then it'll just be that much more powerful when it finally happens. So either way, there's no trick here. This is why I'm not afraid of this stuff. It doesn't make sense. Crypto's here to stay. XRP is a very clear early winner in the crypto space. And so why be afraid here? It just doesn't make logical sense. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.